Destiny 2 Lightfall looks so good, and I've tried to get into Destiny multiple times. I got it at launch and played it for a bit and then fell off, and as the years went on, it just became more and more of a daunting game to get into. So around Christmas, the DLC was on sale, so I bought some of the major DLC packs to see if I could finally get into Destiny 2 in 2023. It's been a long time since I played Destiny 2, so this is pretty much a newcomer's perspective. So stick around if you want to get into Destiny 2 this year before Lightfall, and I'll let you know what to expect getting into this game in 2023. I'll open up by saying this: you won't be able to get into Destiny 2 without some effort. Firstly, the free-to-play stuff confused me. There was so much content cut off that it felt rather bare bones. And then of course, one of the most confusing parts is the DLC, which ones to buy and which ones to avoid. So I bought the Witch Queen, Shadowkeep and Beyond Light. They were all on sale, so I spent something like 40 or 50 euro on all of them, which is a bargain. The main reason why I did this was that they offered campaigns, which I think are a must to get into Destiny 2. Apparently a lot of content has been vaulted, meaning you can't access it anymore, which is stupid. I remember the original story of Destiny 2 with Cade 6 and other characters, and this is nowhere to be seen now, so expect to be lost. And it's a massive shame because the story and lore of Destiny 2 are actually great if you're willing to give it time. And this is where the effort comes into, because Destiny 2 is a massive time commitment. If you want to get immersed in the story, you have to go out of your way to read Reddit threads and watch YouTube videos. And it's really annoying because the lore and story of Destiny 2 is actually really good. The campaigns for all these DLCs are solid too, especially the Witch Queen and Beyond Light. And they're the two I'd recommend the most. So Beyond Light unlocks a new stasis subclass, and I love how much of a journey it felt to unlock this. There's something like a 20-step quest taking you all over the place to learn the secrets and unlock the new subclass. On top of that, all of these DLCs will give you new exotics, they'll give you some raids and some dungeons and things like that. So it's not only just story content that you get with these DLC packs. The Witch Queen is hands down the best though, as it has the best campaign with some stupidly tough missions. In this campaign, you can choose to do the missions on hard mode, and feck me are they tough, but they are so fun with a couple of friends. This pack also brings in new mechanics that make platforming and exploration a lot more fun. And on top of that, some of the boss mechanics here are great, with a boss that you have to try kill by going through loads of portals and taking out enemies to weaken the boss, and another that's a massive multi-tier fight where you have to kill other enemies to take out its shields. I think Witch Queen is a must-buy if you're looking into Destiny 2. Beyond Light is good at full price, but it is a harder sell at full price. And then all the other DLCs, from what I've read and what I've played, aren't really worth it at full price, so if they're on sale then pick them up, but I wouldn't go out of my way to get them. My main takeaway about the story content is that I enjoy what's there, but I don't understand why there isn't a legacy campaign of say 20 or 30 missions to take you through all the main missions and bring you up to speed with where Destiny 2 is right now, because it can be very confusing. However, if you're looking for a grindy MMO, then Destiny 2 has you covered, because once you get into the grind, you're just gonna lose so many hours to it. To break it down, everything in Destiny 2 revolves around light level, which is a power rating on your gear. I think it takes an average of your gear, and that determines what missions and content you can tackle. So everything revolves around getting engrams and gear that improve your light level. Engrams are basically just drops that you have to decipher, and usually these are how you improve your gear. And this is where it begins. So this is a Bungie game, so you know the gunplay is going to be unreal. Killing hordes of enemies is satisfying, but then you get into the progression loop. There is so much to do in this game, it's ridiculous. You have Vanguard, which is the game's dungeons, Crucible, which is PvP, Gambit, which is PvP/PvE mode. Then you have the area-specific NPCs and a whole host more NPCs that all give you loot. Each one of these offers bounties that are simple enough to complete. So a Crucible bounty might be kill 5 people with your super ability, and a Vanguard bounty might be one that you have to kill 50 enemies with X type of damage. And these all contribute to their corresponding playlist rank, which gives you gear, engrams, and some cosmetic stuff. It's as simple as this: if you get caught in this loop, you will get hooked, and Destiny 2 will become one of your favourite games because it's just that fun. Everything in the game is built into your next engram, which unlocks a new piece of gear, and obviously the more difficult tasks you do, the better the loot. Now I will say that once again, it took a good bit of effort to get into this. Because there are so many bounties, quests, and NPCs and ranks to do, it can get a bit confusing. I played this on and off with 2 friends, and at different times we were reading different Reddit threads, we were watching different YouTube videos, and figuring out things together. So there is a bit of brain work involved in learning how all of these systems work together. Now to break down the different modes, because there's a lot here. The Vanguard playlist is basically a looking for group dungeon run, and these range in difficulty and fun. Some are absolute breezes and others offer some challenge, but they're generally a fun way to get some loot and do some bounties. If you buy one of the DLC packs, you get more difficult dungeons called Nightfall raids and dungeons, and they're an even better way to get loot. But from what I can see, they have a set dungeon for a set amount of time, so they get boring after a few runs through until they change it. A big issue I ran into on the harder dungeons was not having a third man. I mostly played with one friend, which meant we needed to fill the other spot with a randomer, and we would often get people queuing in these that weren't high enough level or were awful at the game, so they would just keep dying and make it very, very difficult. With a third man, they're a great time, but be wary about this stuff with randomers. Next is the Crucible, and this is a bit of a mixed bag. Bungie did make this game, so of course the PvP is going to be fun, but it feels rather unbalanced at times. They try their best to level the playing field, but sometimes you come up against people that simply have better gear than you. You can kill them, but they're at an advantage because they have a build dedicated to PvP, and I need to grind another 50 hours to reach their level. I like the maps, and there's loads of options to choose from, like a 3v3 competitive mode, which is great if you have a team of 3, and then a normal 6v6 mode, which can be TDM or domination. While I had fun with Crucible, it was my least favourite of all the playlists, because again, sometimes it just felt like you came up against people that had better gear and better builds, and it felt unbalanced. Eventually, as I leveled up, I spec towards a stealth build, which gave me invisibility, and I was having more luck, but again, it was only because I was crapping on people that were lower level than me. Gambit is up next, and I love this mode. It's a PvEVP mode where you have to kill waves of enemies, collect motes which you deposit at your base, and then fight a boss at the end. The catch here is that there's another team on the other side of the map doing the same, and it's a race against each other. Once you deposit enough motes, you can go over to their side with boosted health and try to kill them. If you kill them while they're fighting the boss, it restores their boss's health, and some of these games were so tight and I had a lot of fun doing it. This felt a bit more balanced than Crucible, so I enjoyed it more. I just mentioned the main things that you'll be doing in Destiny 2. Obviously there are more raids, there's even more NPCs that I haven't even interacted with yet because there's just too much to do at this time. My biggest issue with Destiny 2 though was the world design. You can travel to loads of different planets, but the areas aren't very memorable. I played WoW for quite a bit and I can remember so many areas in it. They're just so iconic and it felt like a proper open world that you can explore and get immersed in, but Destiny 2 doesn't feel that way. Yeah, the areas are smaller and instance, but it's how they're laid out that just made them very unmemorable. They just feel like ways to get to missions and that's it really. My main way of thinking about these areas is that they are the sand planet or that's a snow planet. I was just hoping for more memorable locations. The most confusing part about Destiny 2 though was the seasonal content. Currently it's in the Season of the Seraph and apparently there's story content, but you have to pay for a season pass to experience it. I simply had too much content on my hand to bother doing any of this, especially since this season is almost over and a new one will start with Lightfall. So once Lightfall starts, I will get into the seasonal content. Now I have heard from various podcasts that this Season of the Seraph stuff is actually pretty good, but again it's ending soon, so I didn't really want to put too much time into it. If you're willing to put the time in, then I highly recommend Destiny 2. It's easily one of the best multiplayer games I've played in a long time. There is a bit of a cost of entry to buying the DLC, but what you'll get is a seriously satisfying grind and a stupid amount of content. I'm about 60 hours in and there's still easily another like 100 hours of content to do. Haven't even attempted a raid yet, but eventually when I level up a bit more, I'll muster up the courage and time to do one because apparently they take hours. All I can say is there is quite a time commitment to get into Destiny 2, but it's definitely worth it and I cannot wait for Lightfall because I'm excited to experience a Destiny 2 DLC pack from the get-go and I could properly get immersed into it and the seasonal content.